Once, a long time ago, there lived a young boy named Joseph. He had a very big family. He had 11 brothers, and his father was named Jacob. Joseph was his father's favorite son. Jacob loved all his sons very much, but he had a special place in his heart for Joseph. To show his great love, Jacob gave Joseph a wonderful gift. It was a beautiful coat, a very special coat of many colors. The coat had stripes of red, blue, green, and yellow. It was the most beautiful coat anyone had ever seen, and Joseph wore it with so much pride and happiness. Joseph also had special dreams. These were not ordinary dreams that you forget when you wake up. God sent these dreams to Joseph. In one dream, Joseph saw himself and his brothers in a field. They were tying up bundles of wheat. Suddenly, Joseph's bundle of wheat stood up, tall and strong. Then all his brothers' bundles bowed down to his. In another dream, he saw the sun, the moon, and 11 stars, and all of them bowed down to him. These dreams were a sign of something important that would happen one day. When Joseph told his brothers about his dreams, they did not like it one bit. They looked at each other with angry faces. "Do you think you will be our king?" they asked him. "Do you really think we will bow down to you?" They were already jealous of Joseph because he was their father's favorite. They were jealous of his beautiful, colorful coat. Now, these dreams made them even more angry. Their hearts grew hard and cold toward their younger brother, and they started to think bad thoughts about him. One day, Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers. They were far away taking care of the sheep. When the brothers saw Joseph coming from far away, wearing his bright coat, they made a very bad plan. "Here comes the dreamer," they said to each other. "Let's get rid of him." They grabbed poor Joseph, tore off his beautiful coat, and threw him into a deep, empty pit. They did not want to see him or hear about his dreams ever again. Their jealousy had made them do a very cruel and terrible thing to their own brother. While Joseph was alone and scared in the dark pit, his brothers saw some traders coming. These traders were on their way to a faraway land called Egypt. The brothers had another bad idea. Instead of leaving Joseph in the pit, they decided to sell him. They pulled him out and sold him to the traders for 20 pieces of silver. The traders took Joseph far, far away from his home and his family. The brothers took the beautiful coat, dipped it in animal blood, and showed it to their father, Jacob. They lied and said a wild animal had hurt Joseph. Jacob was so sad. He cried and cried for his favorite son. When Joseph arrived in Egypt, he was sold again. A man named Potiphar, who was a captain for the king of Egypt, bought him. Joseph was now a slave in a strange land. He missed his father and his home very much. But even though he was sad and alone, Joseph did not forget about God. He knew that God was still with him. He worked very hard for Potiphar. He did every job he was given with a good heart and did it well. Joseph was honest and kind, and he never gave up hope even when things were very difficult for him. Potiphar saw that Joseph was a hard worker and a good person. He saw that everything Joseph did turned out well. Potiphar knew that God was helping Joseph. Soon Potiphar trusted Joseph with everything he owned. He put Joseph in charge of his whole house. Joseph was no longer just a simple slave. He was the head of Potiphar's household. This showed that even in a bad situation, staying faithful and working hard can make a big difference. Joseph was strong because he trusted that God had a plan for him. But Joseph's troubles were not over. Potiphar's wife told a lie about Joseph because she was angry with him. She said he did something very bad. Potiphar believed his wife and became very angry with Joseph. He had Joseph thrown into the king's prison. It felt so unfair. Joseph had done nothing wrong, but now he was locked in a dark, cold jail cell. It seemed like things had gone from bad to worse. But even in the darkness of the prison, Joseph did not lose his faith. He kept trusting in God, believing that one day things would get better. In the prison, Joseph was not alone. 2 of the king's servants were also put in jail with him, the king's cupbearer and his baker. One morning, Joseph saw that they both looked very sad. "Why do you look so worried today?" Joseph asked them kindly. They told him that they each had a strange dream and they did not know what the dreams meant. Joseph knew that God could help him understand dreams. So he said, "Tell me your dreams. God can give us the answers." He listened carefully to what they had dreamed during the night. The cupbearer told his dream first. Joseph explained that in 3 days, the king, who was called Pharaoh, would set him free and give him his job back. The baker told his dream next, but his dream had a sad meaning. Joseph had to tell him that in 3 days Pharaoh would punish him. Everything happened just as Joseph had said. Before the cupbearer left, Joseph asked him, "Please remember me when you are with Pharaoh. Tell him about me so I can get out of this prison." But the cupbearer forgot all about Joseph once he was free. 2 whole years passed and Joseph was still in prison. He waited and waited, but nobody came for him. Then one night, Pharaoh himself had 2 very strange dreams. He dreamed about 7 fat cows that were eaten by 7 skinny cows. Then he dreamed about 7 healthy ears of corn that were eaten by 7 thin ears of corn. Pharaoh was very troubled. He called all his wise men, but no one could tell him what the dreams meant. He was worried and did not know what to do. The dreams felt very important, that is. When the cupbearer finally remembered the young man from prison, he remembered Joseph. He told Pharaoh, "There is a young man in prison who can tell you what dreams mean." Pharaoh immediately sent for Joseph. Joseph was cleaned up and brought to stand before the most powerful man in Egypt. Pharaoh told Joseph his dreams. Joseph listened and then said, "God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 2 dreams mean the same thing. There will be 7 years of great harvests with plenty of food. Then there will be 7 years of terrible famine with no food at all." Pharaoh was very impressed with Joseph's wisdom. He knew that God was with Joseph. "Can we find anyone else with the Spirit of God in him like this man?" Pharaoh asked his officials. He turned to Joseph and said, "Since God has shown you all this, you will be in charge. I will put you in charge of all of Egypt." Pharaoh gave Joseph his own ring and beautiful clothes. He made Joseph the 2nd most powerful person in the whole land. Joseph, the boy who was sold as a slave, was now a great leader. He immediately started preparing for the famine, storing up food during the 7 good years. Just as Joseph had said, after 7 years of plenty, the 7 years of famine began. There was no food anywhere, but in Egypt there was plenty of grain because Joseph had stored it up. People from all over the world came to Egypt to buy food. Back in his old home, Joseph's family was also suffering. Jacob sent his 10 older sons to Egypt to buy grain so they would not starve. They traveled for a long time and finally arrived in Egypt. They went before the great leader to ask for food, not knowing who he was. When the brothers stood before Joseph, they bowed down low to the ground. They did not recognize their little brother at all. He was now a powerful Egyptian ruler dressed in fine clothes. But Joseph knew them right away. His heart was filled with many feelings. His old dreams were coming true. His brothers were bowing down to him. He tested them to see if their hearts had changed, to see if they were sorry for what they had done so many years ago. He wanted to know if they were still cruel or if they had become better men. Finally, Joseph could not pretend any longer. He sent all the Egyptians out of the room and began to cry. "I am Joseph," he said to his shocked brothers. "Is my father still alive?" The brothers were terrified, but Joseph said, "Do not be afraid. You meant to do something bad to me, but God used it for good. He sent me here to save many lives." He forgave his brothers completely. He hugged them and cried with them. Joseph brought his entire family, including his father Jacob, to live in Egypt. The family was together again, safe and happy. Joseph's story shows us the power of forgiveness, hope, and how family is the most important thing of all.